All right, so we are finishing up our lesson on exponents where we worked on products and quotients of properties. So we explored how to simplify our expressions using exponents. We use several different properties. And so here's a summary of the different properties that we talked about. And what they do is help us to simplify our math expressions. So the identity exponent property basically tells us that if we have any base and it is raised to the power of one, it's going to be itself. So an example would be if I have 5 to the power of one, it's going to be 5. Okay. And then what we have is the zero exponent property. At the beginning of this lesson, I gave you some information on why it is the way that it is. But what that basically says is that if we have any number that's the base that is non zero, so it can't be zero, but if we have any number to the base of zero, so in this example, 5 to the power of zero, it is always going to be one. And so, what this is useful in helping us to simplify expressions because anytime that we see a base of zero, we're basically saying we're dividing our base by itself, right? So, 5 divided by 5 would give us one. We also learned about the product of powers property. And what that says is that I can take like bases. So let's say 5 to the power of 3 plus 5 to the power of 2. That is equal to 5 to the power of 5. So what we're doing is just adding those exponents for us to get 5 to the fifth power. And then we talked about our quotient of powers property. And so what that says is that if I have 5 to the fifth power divided by 5 to the second power, that is the same thing as saying 5 to the fifth power divided by 2, which gives me a power of 3. Okay. And so basically what we're doing is just subtracting. And we know that we can use a calculator for us to find our exponent. So we know that when we use our calculator, we use that button that has the Y and the X. The Y stands for your base, the X stands for your exponent. So I asked you a question at the beginning, and it was how do the product, the quotient, identity, and zero exponent properties help us to simplify expressions? And the answer is that it makes it possible for us to rewrite and condense, meaning making it smaller, less complex, with exponents into simpler forms. When we follow these rules, what we do is we take long strings of multiplication or division and we can simplify it into smaller, simpler single terms. What it does is it helps us to make the calculations faster. It makes it easier for us to understand the expressions, and they help us to check for patterns and relationships between the different terms and identifying results efficiently. So, keep on practicing. Make sure that you remember these different properties. We're going to see this as we move on into our next lesson.